And here we are again. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul. My name is Melissa Wilson, and this is always a beautiful time on Wednesdays for us to have a meeting of the mind, so to speak, and for me to get to introduce you to incredible people. Many of them have overcome catastrophic medical problems, and they're on the other side of it, and many times they use faith to get them through it. I can't think of a better person to introduce you right now than Karin Hansen, who has been through that with her hubby. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What a journey you have to share. So I just want to start from the very beginning, and you tell us last March, when it's, the perfect time of spring, flowers are blooming, love is in the air. You are helping fight for your husband's life. What happened last March?
Yes, well, he's a CPA, and this was besides the flowers blooming. It was great tax season for us.
Numbers were blooming at your
Yes.
house.
He'd been working really long hours and hard as always,
Mhm.
and he went to bed feeling just a little off that night. And he woke up about 3:30 in the morning and said that he needed to go to the restroom. And all of a sudden, I hear this loud crash. And I was terrified. It sounded like a tree had fallen. And I jumped out of bed, and he was laying there on the floor unconscious. So I was shaking. And fortunately, my sister and my father and my brother in law were in town. We were just at the end of our spring break. And my sister is an RN. My brother works in the emergency room. He's an RN also. So they were right in the bedroom next to us. And I ran to them and I said, "Quick, honey, Todd's fallen." And so they were helpful. We called the ambulance, and we ended up being in the ICU for over 3 weeks. And then the next 7 months, really in and out of hospitals and rehab centers.
And we
So,
see him right here in the hospital bed, the love of your life. That had to be so brutal. So he suffered a traumatic brain injury because when he fell, he hit his head. He wasn't able to catch himself. So his head hit the ground, right?
yes, that's correct.
And it
Yeah.
cracked his skull even.
Yes. Yeah. It was just such a change. I mean, nothing you expect. It happened, just kind of out of the blue. He was healthy. He exercised, took good care of himself, didn't drink, didn't smoke. We were doing everything we could to stay healthy. And it was just absolutely devastating. I mean, I have never been so exhausted, so tired, so worried, so anxious,
Yeah.
just overwhelmed. There were ups and downs. They would have one
Mm.
little good thing happen and then two steps back. It was really tough.
Yeah, it's a lot, but you got really close to your medical workers. How I call them yours because they were taking care of the whole family.
That's
But I know that they were doing everything they could to help your husband, but then they really bonded with you as well. And I got to see you in the right there at Memorial Hermann with them. What was it like to be able to have people who were in your corner, not just fighting for your husband, but making sure you were okay too?
that is very true. He didn't really know what was going on, but I did, and so they knew that I needed support as well. And I have a lot of medical people in my family, but I am not one of them. I don't like things like hospitals unless it's just scary to me.
Mhm.
So they were there, and when they saw that I was a person of faith, they let me know they were praying for me. They gave me hugs. They made sure that I was okay, my family was okay, and that all my questions were answered.
Mm.
They just were my support staff. They were my lifeline during all this. So I can't thank them enough. I will forever be grateful. They're like my angels on earth.
Oh, that is huge. And then all of his medical care then was through Memorial Hermann, Memorial City, and then went on once he got out of the hospital. How long was that before he went to Tier Memorial Hermann and graduated, so to speak, to start rehab?
He was there for about 3 weeks in the ICU, and then he went to the medical center tier. We had to come back 2 different times for separate unplanned surgeries. Well, one was planned, but it had to be done sooner than we thought.
Mhm.
So we were back and forth a little bit. Then we left Tier in June. We went to Moody Neuro Rehab in Galveston for the summer, and he came back on October 7th, back home again.
It
So,
was so much. And we take a look here, and I know for anybody who has a weak stomach, this might be tough to see, but I think we need to see what he went through. It had to be agonizing for you to see your loving husband going through something like this, right? Like, was this
mhm.
after a surgery, one of the surgeries?
Yes, it was when they put back his skull. They had to take off part of his skull because of swelling and bleeding. And then he had something called trephination where it started. Well, this might have been the first surgery. There were two. Um,
Hmm.
and actually started sinking in further than it should have, more than it should have. So his
Hmm.
scalp had to be replaced early. And so we had to go back and do that too. And yeah, some of the pictures that I didn't even share with you because they're really, really hard to look at.
Yeah, it's just too difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
How did faith come into all of this in prayer time? And the first picture I showed, I don't know if this was being a prayer said over him, although it looks
Yes.
like it.
That's my son. Yeah. We have two daughters and a son. And this was, I think, probably the first time he came to see him in the hospital. And he was crying and praying over him.
Yeah, that had to be so hard.
They're very close. Yeah.
How important were those prayers, and how did that give you hope and keep you going day after day, month after month in this
Yes,
situation?
this was a long process. I honestly, I don't know how someone can go through this without faith. Um, there were just so many ways. I stayed there pretty much 24/7 at the beginning, and then I had to go home and get some sleep. And my brother in law was sweet. He flew in town twice so that because he knew that I just wouldn't leave Todd's side.
Mhm.
So he would come in and he would sit with him at night. And as I was driving in the car, always listening to the Christian radio, the song In Jesus' Name by Katie Nicole was just, it has a
Mm.
line where I pray for your healing. And I was just like, God put that song there for me every time.
Ah,
And it's a short commute at that point when we weren't going to the medical center. And I mean, that just listening to those musics, we had, by coincidence, I work at a school where we have sponsorship with a church, and they had given us for Christmas a devotional book. And that book I was reading to Todd every day on a daily basis. That helped. I had Bible verses printed on the board that's really meant for all medical stuff, but it had your goals for the day. I would have a Bible verse. Psalm 46 was a big one. God is our refuge and strength and ever present help in trouble. I had to constantly read that, remind myself. And it's just really beautiful to watch the way, even when you're in the midst of this tornado of your life, hurricane, the way he puts people in your life and things in your life right when you need them. And if you're aware of it and you take time to notice it, the people were there. The way that it happened with my family just happened to be in town. They were leaving the next morning to help me deal with the initial fall. All the doctors, the nurses, the therapists, neighbors, coworkers, other families that were there, we would support each other. We could see suffering all around us, and we were all devastated. But the fact that we could lend support to each other was really great. Just in little things, like when we were at TIER, there was something we had to have notarized, and I was just like, "How am I going to get away to do this? I don't have time to do this." And it just so happened that his next roommate that came in, the lady was a notary. I mean, God can just take care of small things and big things, and I really relied on him totally through all of this.
It is so empowering, I think, to hear and to remind people because we all go through storms in life. And if it's not today, you can pretty much be sure it'll be tomorrow. Certainly, it might not be something as dramatic and traumatic as your family's been through. But I feel like if we have that reminder in our back pocket, it can certainly help on a rainy day in our lives for sure. Let's
Yes.
talk about okay, so there was a lot going on during all of this, including lots of grandbabies being born. I mean, how insane was that for you to be balancing the most exciting time in your kids' lives? And then I have one once you all got home, but here they are, and luckily your honey got home. But
Yes.
to be dealing with that, that had to just be unbelievable
Well,
of
that was
balancing
this
that.
silver lining, the joy. This is afterwards, this picture, but that was the joy. The one day that I was not with Todd in the hospital was I was with my daughter, and she had also at Memorial City, and she's an RN there. She's taking leave right now with three kids, but
Mhm.
she had twins, so I was with her that one day, and his sister was with him that day. So that was just the joy that was in the midst of all this. I think it was just, there are better things to come. There
Yeah.
are things even now that you can enjoy. One of our granddaughters was actually born right before this happened, a month before. And then the two twins were born during his recovery. And we had a little older grandson that was about 1.5 when this happened. So they would come and visit, especially as he got a little better. And that was just, that was something to hang on to and to look forward to.
Lots of grand blessings for sure there,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
I wanna know how you dealt with the fact that he survives, and that has to be a huge relief, but he
Yes.
doesn't know how to walk, he can't talk, he can't eat, he can't do the private things that somebody wants to do in the bathroom, like, he can't take care of himself.
Yeah.
How did you find faith in all that, that he was going to go to tier and they do turn miracles, but you don't know if he's going to be the miracle, right? You don't know in the
Mhm.
beginning stages. Did you
Yeah.
have feelings that he would fully recover, or did you suffer from fear that he might not ever be able to share conversations with you again?
Yeah, I think both. I had faith and hope that he would be restored. And I was always praying for his healing, but I also came to a point where I had to just give it to God, and say, Your will be done. I know whatever happens, that you're going to be with us through it. And, this is, I don't want to say it's happening for a reason. It's really hard to understand the reasoning, but whatever is happening, you're going to be there with me. There'll be people surrounding us. I'm going to love him as long as I can and even beyond. And we'll just have to take it a day at a time and celebrate the little progress that we make, and know that
Mhm.
setbacks are part of the process, and that if anyone can do it, my husband is very strong, very stubborn, very dedicated. He's a hard worker. So if he was given the opportunity, I knew, to do rehab, he would make the most of it, and he did. He would not take a break. If he saw any of the therapists who he thought weren't working right then, he would try to grab them and say, "Can we get in another session, please?" He
Oh
just
my goodness.
he was determined to do whatever he could to get back to the way he was.
Well, and I think that that is so important too for somebody to have that will in him and to be able to see at some point the grandbabies and knowing he needed to hold them again or hold them for the first time and with the
Yeah.
twins and to be able to cherish that. He had so much to live for. I think that we can remember that when we're going through hard times of what is our why. And I think that's so important for us to remember. So when I talked to your husband, he told me that he's now walking, I believe, is it 3 miles a day?
Four
Walking quite a
months.
bit, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
How incredible is that to go from just a few months ago learning to walk to being out there and about and just taking the world by storm?
Yeah, it's a miracle. It is. He's very determined. I've learned a lot, always from him, but seeing him go through this, I would be right now. He has something called aphasia, where it's difficult for him to get words out sometimes, to think of the
Mhm,
correct word at times. And I think I would be self-conscious, and I would probably shut down because I would be embarrassed of saying the wrong things. But
mhm.
he just goes ahead and says it. And if I say that doesn't make sense, he'll laugh about it, and he'll give me clues, or we'll figure out what he's trying to say. Yeah, he's out there walking. He has goals even bigger in mind. He wants to return to work. He wants to drive again. And so I know if it's safe and if there's a way for him to do it, he's going to figure out how. And I'm a little nervous, of course, about all that,
Oh, of
but
course.
I'm also excited for him.
Well, I was so impressed when I was talking to him because I guess first of all, I'm scared of numbers and I get so scared of tax time. And I'm so thankful my husband can help out with that. And just to see how passionate your husband is about ready to get to those tax returns and help his clients.
Who wants to
I
get
mean,
back to taxes? I mean, it's
He's
crazy.
he's gonna be the only person on earth, no. But I mean, he's serious, he's ready, but I know it's going to take some time for him to get there, and then the other big thing he wants to do is to be able to drive, so are you any closer to that or any idea when that might happen?
He, as part of his occupational therapy, he is applying to a driving school that helps people who have had some kind of disability or accident. So I think they do like an evaluation first, and then if they need lessons, they may tell them no. They may say set certain circumstances or conditions.
Mhm.
We'll just have to see. He doesn't work very far from home, so that's good. But you have to cross, the Beltway, and I'll be nervous about that. So we'll see how it goes. But if he can't drive, it's okay. I can drop him off. We
Mhm.
have, he can Uber. There are other ways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Baby steps for sure. And
Yeah.
anytime you get in a crisis like this, we know that life continues to go around you, right? And it almost feels like I've been in medical crisis with my kids before, but it's like you're sitting there and you're watching the world sweep by. You work. You're at work right now at a school.
Yes.
Thank you for them letting you have your lunch hour with us.
You're
But
welcome.
how did you manage that? So you said you were in spring break, I believe, when it happened. How did you were you able to take leave? How did you deal with being a career woman, a wife, a mom, a grandma? How was the balancing act?
Yes, I was able to take family medical leave, which I didn't really know anything about before now, but they make the process fairly easy compared with all the other things that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my administrators were very, very kind about everything, very caring and understanding. So I didn't have to worry about work while I was gone, although I did worry about the children. I missed them. And I, was worried, especially with COVID and everything. I really want them to catch up with reading, but my focus just had to be on my husband. And we are so fortunate. We have three great children. They were so supportive. One of them kind of took over all the business aspects of his firm. One of them focused on all the bills because I'm sorry, but I let my husband take care of the money and the bills. I just want enough to spend at Target or at the grocery store. And so they were taking care of
Get
him
that.
bills. My son helped with household stuff. My one daughter was taking care of businesses, one was of the bills, and my son was kind of helping with everything in between around the house and the yard as much as he could. So without our three kids helping, and Todd's brother and sister were helpful, my family was flying in from Iowa to help. My sister came for 2 weeks. So we just have such a great network of family, and we're so blessed to have the people in our family that we do that are willing to step in and help. They know what to do even when you can't verbalize what you need. They were just there mostly and praying for us. And that was the biggest.
Well, your family has come so far to see your husband right here with you all, right in the middle as the center of the family, and then to go back and see this moment of deep healing needed and all the miracles that came along the way is a beautiful thing. I know it's a tough journey to share and to really go back and relive that through this conversation, but thank you for sharing that with us and just all that your family's been through.
There's always hope. I mean, things can be really scary, but there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to have faith and leave it in God's hands, I think. And rely on friends and family to help out when you need it. I don't usually like to ask for help, but there are times when you need to, and it's great to have that support.
Have you always been this strong, or where did you get this? Does it come from a parent or a grandparent, or where did you get these strong values?
A long line of Christians, yeah. And my mom actually became a priest when she was 75. So, and we've always been active in the church. So I think that helped. That gave me a good, strong background. But you don't have to grow up in the church to be a Christian. You can do it at any point in your life. And it's really great to have that support and to have that faith to help you get through really tough times.
What a second calling. That's quite a second calling for your mom. That's incredible. I didn't even know, you think about that even being possible. Way to go, Mom.
Yeah.
That's
She was
amazing.
amazing. She really was.
Oh, it's amazing. Thank you for sharing that too. Well, Karin, you take care of you and tell your husband hello from all of us. We are all cheering him on. And I can't wait for him to get to crunch numbers. You're going to have to let me know when that happens. It'll be a glorious day for him. He was so cute talking about it. He just gets so fired up. And I love seeing that spark in his eye.
Well, we're just celebrating each day and so grateful that we have those days, and want to thank everybody, family, friends, nurses, doctors, everybody that helped us get this far. We really are appreciative.
Well, I also loved the reunion of seeing you with his medical workers and giving them some gifts and cards and thank you and how they received you. They were so happy to see you both and how far your husbands come. So God bless you both.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
sharing
much.
here on Lunch for the Soul, and only good health from you all from now on.
Thank you. I hope so.
And I hope you figure out why it happened in the first place. I know they're looking at his heart, and maybe you'll find the answer so you never, ever have to go through this again.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
That's our prayer for you. Thanks, Karin.
Thanks so much.
All right. And thank you all for being here for Lunch for the Soul. I just want to remind you, you can always find all of these episodes of Lunch for the Soul on our Fox 26 YouTube page. So if you happen to tune in late today and you want to see what this was all about, you can go back and view it on YouTube. Have a beautiful day. If you want to reach out to me, please do. If you have an idea, if you want to be here on Lunch for the Soul, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me at melissa.wilson@fox.com. Otherwise, I will see you back here next week, same time, Wednesday at 12:30. Bye-bye.